In the previous video, I talked about the importance of testing after you add fields to a database, and not doing so can cause system instability and problems. And whenever developers do create some kind of application, they always test real-world usage of that application to see how fields and indexing and other things affect users and if the system is stable and good enough for use. This is something we're not doing in eDiscovery environment. When we add a field to a giant database, we just kind of use it and see what happens. But today I want to share a story about developers adding fields or creating fields in the database and seeing what happens after users got a chance to use it for real. So today is going to be kind of a story video. So if you're into that, let's get started. So the story goes like this. A few jobs back, we decided to see if we want to upgrade our project tracking system. Now, the project tracking system wasn't as simple as just jobs entered and clients and matters and just some fields. It had very specific business logic that's designed to handle like print shop and all kinds of weird business stuff. So we hired a developer to come in and evaluate our business tracking system as well as the processes. And the consultant came in and he looked at how we do things, and he looked at the tracking system, he analyzed everything, and of course he criticized the heck out of it just so he could get a job fixing it. And he did get a job. So he, sort of relying on what he learned from all the criticism, he decided to get everyone to start writing use cases. You know, I don't know if he ever had to do that, but whenever developers get involved, they always get everyone, write your use cases, and no one understands what the heck a use case is, and you basically go online like, what's a use case? How do you write it? And no one understands why they're doing it. It's kind of annoying, but everyone kind of has to suffer through it and write what they think use cases are. After he got all use cases together, he went into a room, locked himself up, and started writing the application. Now, one thing I want to note about our process that was a little different is how we name things. So the way we have job numbers is based on three different criteria. We have a 2 or 3 letter client abbreviation, we have a 3-number client meta that's related to client meta, and we have another 3 numbers that are related to the job number. So you could have job ABC 001 001. And, you know, different clients would have, you know, XYZ 025, 022 or something like that. And what was interesting about it is how used to we got to that system and how effective it was. But at the same time, it was incredibly weird to anybody from outside who's listening. This system was really intimidating to new people especially. They all pretty much admitted when they started working for the company, when they heard people talk this way, they had no idea what people are talking about. It was confusing, and they're like, what is going on there? This makes absolutely no sense. But the system was great. You know, we would just yell out, you know, how you doing with XYZ 2522? Oh, I'm just finishing up ABC 02022, then I'm gonna get to the one to the other one, right? And we would just yell that out loud, and it made absolutely perfect sense to us. So when we got together with the developer and when we wrote those use cases, we explained to him what that system is, how we name things, how we refer to jobs, and how we search for jobs. And so, of course, the developer took note of it and considered it in development of the new application. Yeah, I'm sure you know that's not true, otherwise I wouldn't be telling you this story. So after a number of weeks or months or whatever, developers spent building that system. He gets everyone in a conference room. He says, all right, I'm going to show you what we have. I'm going to show you how it looks, how it works. I've ported the existing jobs into it so we can see how it looks. This is pretty much like a finished version. So let's go ahead and do that. And so he opens it up and he goes, okay, we go to Clients tab. Here are all the clients. And we click on the client. Here are the matters. We can see all the matters. We click on the matter. We can find all the jobs. Great. And then one of the project managers goes, all right, well, let me look up a job, you know. And so he goes, grabs the keyboard. He's like, okay, here's the job number, punches in, you know, ABC 001 001, whatever, hits enter, and the system just sits there waiting and waiting and waiting. I think it takes like 15 to 20 seconds, and then the job shows up. And everyone is like looking at the developer like, hey, what happened? Why is it so slow? Why is it taking so long? And the developer gives classic Apple answer. Well, you're using it wrong. You're not supposed to be punching in the job number. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to navigate to clients, then you find your client, right? So here's the list, you scroll up and down, right? You double click on the client, a single click or whatever, you go to matters, then you go to jobs, here is your job. This is the job you were looking for. And we're like, no, this takes way too long. We want to punch in the job number. And he keeps arguing with us like, well, no one knows the job numbers in their heads, right? How would people know what the job number it is? And we were like, no, we know what the job number is. This is how we speak. We explained this to you a million times. And he's arguing, no. You need to navigate through this menu. You need to find this. And basically we told him like, look, this is not happening. What needs to happen is we need to put in a job number and the job needs to show up pretty much instantly. So make it work. So this is pretty much a perfect example what I was talking about in the previous video, where developer was ready pretty much to sign off on the job. He says, I'm done, it's all done, it's all good to go, but he forgot to test how people use the system in the real world, right? These are the things that need to be monitored, and then the SQL logs need to be analyzed, and additional indexing needs to be built, optimization needs to be done, whatever needs to happen. And basically this is what happened to this job. Now let's get into a little bit of a geeky stuff. I'll explain to you what the actual problem was. So what actually happened in the case of this developer is the way he built the job number. In databases, we have something called normalization rules, basically how data needs to be broken up into different tables. And he was a stickler for following that exactly. And so what he said is, look, your job number is like a compound primary key from other tables. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the client primary key and then the meta primary key and the job primary key, and I'm going to join all those tables together. And then I'm going to pad the results with whatever number of zeros, and that's going to be the column for the job number. However, when he did that, it turned out to be that the field that's created that way cannot be indexed. So when you run a search, the whole database had to be joined together, and then it had to go do a table scan to find the actual entry, which is why everything was so slow. And what's funny about this situation, he thought he was done, and what he had to do is re-architect pretty much the whole database. Because I'm sure there may be some other solutions could have been created, like occasionally make a copy of that field and index or something like that, but that would have been kind of a hack. So he had to go in and redo the work based on how we actually use the system. So two things to take away from it. One is testing of the system, but the second, actually listen to the users who will tell you how they use the system, how they communicate, how the actual business is being run. And if you listen to us that we use these job numbers to talk about jobs as well as search for them, he would have had that as #1 priority in designing his application and probably would not have made that mistake of architecting software incorrectly. So that's my story about working with outside developers who don't listen to the users, who don't test throughout the development process, and who think that they right and things should be done their ways. All right, that's all I got for this video. Don't forget to follow on LinkedIn, subscribe on YouTube, and I will see you on another.